Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Madness live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is your MF Michael Flecha alongside Anthony Florio. I must apologize if my voice is sounding a little weird tonight. If I got like this quote unquote Barry White voice going on right now, I'm fighting a little bit of a cold. You could say a little bit of a flu. I've been dealing with this for the last few days, but like I said, I was gonna, you know, I, as executive producer of the show, I have to do this regardless. I'm glad to be here tonight. So, if you hear some coughing, some hacking from me, I apologize in advance, folks. But hopefully, we'll get through this without try to be as pain free as it can be. Tonight, we got AEW Dynamite, we got NXT, and then we got two previews we got to do. A Thursday night football game that's going down tomorrow night on Amazon Prime. And also, we got an AEW Full Gear that's going down um, from the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California, suburb of Los Angeles. That's going down Sunday night on pay-per-view on Bleacher Report in the United States. So we got a lot to talk about, not a lot to get in, not a lot of time to get done. So we're just going to do what we always do and dive right on in. So we're going to start it off, as always, with NXT. So with that said, NXT was last night from the Capital One Wrestling uh, Center, and it was exclusively on USA. Just give me a moment, folks. I'm just trying to get my note here. Okay, got that. Let's see. All right. All right. So, with that said, here we go. And we started the show off. Just in case if any type of pop up comes in, I'll just mute it immediately. Right out of the gate. Let's get this out of the way. And here it is. All right. So we started it off with the first bout of the evening, as this was a rematch for the NXT tag team titles, as it was Chase University going up against the family winners of the bout in 13 minutes and 54 seconds. And once again, the NXT Tag Team Champions, Channing Stats Lorenzo and Tony D'Angelo, the family regains the gold. Look, I know a lot of people are angry. A lot of people are upset. Why would you do that? Why would then? What was the business and the reason to take the belts off the family in the first place if you're going to make them regain it back? Um, I get the negativity. I get the the vitriol and the what the hell. But there was some people that did come to NXT defense. They're like, look, this is good storyline progression. This is something that this is a storyline that needs to be done. And would you have seen this if McMagma was running the show? No, you would probably saw something more boring, more stupid than this. Give Triple H and the boys some credit. Let Sean marinate something because Sean's got something up his sleeve that none of you idiots will comprehend or realize or even understand. So that's what the NXT marks would say. What I would tell NXT marks, I get the storyline progression and everything else, but you just devalued Chase University. You just basically made them transitional champions for no apparent reason. So I think it was a solid bout. I'll give this about 2.5 to 3. But the reasoning behind the crowning of new champions doesn't really make any sense. So Anthony Florio, I give it to you.
All right. Man, MF, kudos to you, man. I mean, you're a warrior and a soldier, man, for pulling through here tonight. So I'll do my best to get through this as quickly as possible. I know we got a lot to get into, and I'm not going to do my, you know, after analysis like I usually do. I'm just gonna, make it quick and clear and to the point. So, all right. The controversy over cheating distracted Andre Chase throughout this bout, and Duke Hudson could only protect him so long before Chase U fell to bada bing, bada boom. It's a shame that the brand is already moving off Chase U as NXT Tag Team Champions. The hot potato nature of the titles is not helping solidify a division that feels decidedly uneven. The story was clear to protect Chase U in the loss. The professor feeds off the fans, only to find they had turned against him. This allowed Tony D and Stacks to focus on Chase as the weak link. It was a fine bout, but far from what the two teams delivered at Halloween Havoc. The story is the bigger focus, to the point that the family's win almost felt overshadowed. Hopefully, the payoff is worth last night's deflating bout. I'll give this 3.25 to 3.5 stars for the effort here. So, not much more to say here. MF, let's move on to the next relevant thing.
All right, next relevant thing was actually Roxanne Perez versus Lash Legend in a match that would decide who would join in the Iron Survivor match at NXT Deadline. And when it was all said and done, I got to consider this an upset, Anthony, as Lash Legend has qualified for Iron Survivor. She takes out the Prodigy in 5 minutes and 4 seconds. Not a clean victory. I think we can all agree with that. There was definitely some interference. But if you're Lash Legend, I don't care. I just knocked down one of the hottest NXT women in the company, former champion in her own right, and was, I think you can definitely say, a definite bright star of the NXT women's division, and Lash Legend just took her out.
Yeah. In the immortal words of Jesse, I mean, major upset here, MF. By hook or by crook, it's a major upset. And without a doubt, the biggest win of Lash Legend's career at this point. Credit to WWE Hall of Famer Lita. Lita put together the Iron Survivor qualifier matches for this week. Next week, John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL, will be calling the matches for next. We'll set up the matches for next week, and then the week after that, the Kingfish himself, Jerry the King Lawler. So we'll see how that goes. But Lash Legend has improved since her rebrand with Metaphor. But is she ready for the Iron Survivor Challenge? That's uncertain. The match with Roxanne Perez was okay at best. Losing Perez for Iron Survivor could severely affect the quality. If there was going to be a surprise competitor in this match, Fallon Henley, I believe, would have been more interesting. I'll give it 2.5 stars for the effort, but remember, there's 5 spots in here. So who knows? Maybe Roxanne could still find a way in, maybe through like some sort of a last chance match or something. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, but with that, it guarantees, unless Roxy finds her way in at the last minute, it guarantees we're going to have a new winner. Because remember, Roxanne Perez won last year's Iron Survivor match. So, and then she went on, of course, to become the NXT Women's Champion. So we'll see what happens with it. But for right now, we got Tiffany Stratton and Lash Legend in the match. So we'll see what happens. But for right now, 2.5 stars for me. So MF, major upset by hook or by crook. And on top of that, definitely the biggest win for Lash Legend so far in her career. Could it lead to an even bigger win next month in Bridgeport?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We will definitely see if that does. But that's an unbelievable turn of events to win it that way. And yeah, biggest win of her career, no doubt. So solid match. I would say same thing. About 2.5 stars. So next up, or the next relevant thing that we had was a match. It was Trick Williams versus Joe Coffey. This was for the men's Iron Survivor match. And Trick Williams goes through. He advances in 11 minutes and 54 seconds. Look, solid match, good fight. Trick Williams getting the match, winning the match. I think we found ourselves our odds-on favorite to win the men's Iron Survivor. If this goes all the way, I think he wins it all. And who knows? That might be the way for him to possibly get an opportunity at the NXT title, because I'm starting to feel like Trick might be the one that's eventually going to become the NXT champion. I believe what they might do now is, yeah, they're gonna probably either they're gonna hold off on the rivalry between Mello and Trick, or Trick wins the title, Mello goes after Trick, and who knows, maybe if everything goes the way it does, maybe at Stand and Deliver, we get Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes for the NXT title in Philly. You know, everybody's going to be yelling, "Whoop that Trick!" And I'm not gonna do the rest because I don't want to step on the toes of one legendary Booker T when he does it, but I kind of every time I hear that "Whoop that Trick," it kind of gets me feeling like Booker T. So I kind of feel like doing the Booker T on that part. So nothing more to say. Anthony Florio, this was at least a 3.5 star bout, but more importantly, Trick Williams goes into Iron Survivor, and more importantly, I believe goes in as the odds-on favorite to win it all now.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right about the "Whoop That Trick" song. I mean, every time I hear Booker T, I can't help but get a good laugh out of it, because I mean, Booker is just so fun on commentary, man. I'm telling you. I mean,
Yeah,
he's I think he's doing the best job of his best ever work right now. I mean, man, I love when he does those funny moments like that. I mean, that's why I love it. So, all right. It was a fine bout, though neither man showed his best. Joe Coffey was in control for most of the bout, but Trick was always going to win. NXT advanced the story of Mello and Trick without hurting the match flow. It still looks like the former A champion is not to be trusted, but he has convinced his friend to stick with him for now. Gallus looks completely out of sorts in NXT and may not find credibility again until leaving the brand. They may just need to wait for NXT Europe. 3.25 to another 3.25, 3.5. So, with that being said, MF, let's move on to the next relevant thing.
all right. The next relevant thing that we had was, well, all right. I guess we can talk about this briefly, unless you want to move on. It's up to you. The Brawling Brutes, Butch and Rich Holland comes back to NXT. They take on Bronco Nana and Lucian Prince, and it was the Brawling Brutes winning in 5 minutes and 50 seconds. So Floyo, it's yours.
2.5, 2.75. Brawling Brutes and OTM have some chemistry. With more time, it could have been something, but that may be coming down the line. For now, Butch and Holland are working on a bigger stage than OTM. Nima and Price have shown serious potential as a hard-hitting tag team, but will need more time to put it all together. If the Brawling Brutes remain in NXT any longer, they should continue to deliver quality performances like this. 2.5, 2.75. MF, it's yours.
Yeah, about 2.5. I definitely agree with that. Solid match, good battle. Nothing really more to add there. So let's just move on. Gigi Dolan versus Ariana Grace, and Gigi wins in 3:47. Look, it was a fine match. Nothing to write home about. You could say maybe about 1.5 is the rating. Could have been better in certain areas, but I'm not gonna be too mad about it. I think it was a fine performance by both women. Just not enough time for us to say, "Holy cow, this is anything to write home about." But it was a nice little filler match. But the right woman won. I got a lot of love for Gigi. Way to go! Congrats on the win. And for Ariana, Hey, nothing to be ashamed of. You still got some work in progress to go, sweetie. But I like what I see in the ring with Ariana Grace right now. So, Florio is yours.
Dolan and Grace tried hard here, but it just didn't land. Newcomer hardly looked like a serious threat to the former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, despite getting most of the offense. It was the right move for the veteran to get the win, sending her up for a likely Iron Survivor qualifier soon. Grace has shown promise and is one of the better characters in the division already, but is not ready for a premium live event. 1 to 1.5. MF, it's yours.
Main event: Baron Corbin versus Wesley 1-on-1. Baron Corbin wins the match in 10 minutes and 28 seconds. Anthony Florio is yours.
3.25. This did not feel like a main event of NXT's usual caliber. While Baron Corbin has been solid with the gold brand, there were no heat or stakes for his match with Wes Lee. While this was one of the fights of the night, it says more of the rest of the card. Former Lone Wolf should be a capable challenger for Dragunov, but it's unlikely the two can reach the heights of the Mad Dragon versus Carmelo Hayes trilogy. The Iron Survivor Challenge is likely going to outshine the NXT Championship match. Wes Lee will continue to build to a rematch with Dirty Dom, but that feud needs to heat up in the coming weeks to be exciting. 3.25. MF, it's yours.
Yeah, 3.25, no doubt about it. Solid main event. Good match overall. It was an okay NXT show. I'd say 7 out of 10 just for the mere fact I think it could have been better in certain areas, but I thought it was a passable show. So, Anthony, quick thought.
This was an off week for NXT. While it did set up some big championship matches, the show was left without any real spark. Some are saying the best fight of the night was Baron Corbin versus Wes Lee, but neither delivered more than their expected offense. Chase U versus the family was a letdown due to the result and the drama overshadowing the action. Shows like this should at least bring more intrigue for big events to come, but Deadline is shaping up to be a mixed bag come December 9. The men's Iron Survivor Challenge is shaping up with big names. The women's match is going to trust Lash Legend to compete in a huge moment for her first truly important NXT bout. Lyra Valkyria looks likely to beat Xia Li next week and be left without a challenger for Deadline, but Ilya Dragunov already has his match set. The tag team division has been left in turmoil, likely setting up another multi-team bout for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Overall, NXT has some work to do to get back on track, but with Lyra Valkyria versus Xia Li for the Women's Championship and Noam Dar versus Chad Gable for the Heritage Cup next week, the show is certain to get better. Solid 7 out of 10 for me. So with that, MF, let's move on to the final go home AEW Dynamite for Full Gear.
All right, and with that said, we do indeed move on. We start off with Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta versus Orange Cassidy and Hook. Moxley and Wheeler Yuta winning the match in 11 minutes and 25 seconds. Solid opener, great battle. What you expect in AEW Dynamite. Really good action, hard-hitting stuff, stiff action from beginning to end. Nothing bad to say about the way that they started out the show. So, Anthony, it is yours. I say 3.5 stars.
3.25, 3.5. Competitive matchup concluded with Cassidy and Moxley brawling at ringside while Yuta trapped Hook in the seatbelt pin and scored the win. Afterward, Moxley suggested Cassidy is shaken and that he will win the International Championship Saturday night. The finish was smart in that it preserved Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley while highlighting the intensifying rivalry between the two. It also put Wheeler Yuta over as a potential challenger to Hook in the FTW Championship, presumably as soon as Saturday night if Tony Khan saw fit. So 3.25, 3.5 for this. So with that, MF, we move on.
We had Sky Blue versus Red Velvet. Sky Blue winning the match in 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Very important because that earns her into a 3-way match for the TBS title at Full Gear. So Sky Blue gets the golden ticket. She's going to LA. She's going to be fighting at the Kia Forum for the title. Florio, it's yours.
3 to 3.25 stars. The action between Sky Blue and Red Velvet was solid. The match featured some quality near falls, and the right competitor went over. Sky Blue has spent weeks entangled in a rivalry with Julia Hart, while mounting distrust threatened her friendship with TBS champion Chris Statlander. She has improved exponentially as a wrestler and has earned this opportunity to show off on the Full Gear stage. The question is whether she has a realistic chance at leaving the forum on Saturday night as champion, or if she is there merely to take the pin for the woman who does. 3 to 3.25 stars, so should be an intriguing match. We'll get into it in a little bit, but for right now, let's continue on.
Unfortunately, we do have a cutout fight. It was 3.25 stars is my rating. I'll apologize for that. Yes, solid match, good battle. Sky Blue she's gotten leaps and bounds so much better in the ring, and it's starting to look like she's more comfortable in AEW. I think there was a little bit of concern for her when she first started. I got no more concern about her. She's thriving in AEW, and that's so good for her. So really nothing more to add. Next up we had was Samoa Joe versus John Cruz. Samoa Joe winning the match in the minute 35. That was a squash. I really got nothing more to say on that one. Then we had the Young Bucks going up against Commander and Penta El Zero Miedo, winners of the bout. In roughly 12 minutes was the Young Bucks. Fine match, fine victory. We all know why they were going to get the win here. This was to try to get the momentum for them as they're heading into an AEW World Tag Team title fight coming up on Saturday. So the outcome was never in doubt. I would say about 2.5 to 3. Anthony, it's yours.
Young Bucks are actually going up against Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, and it's not a tag team championship match.
Well, all right.
We'll address that when we get to the Full Gear preview, because there are some stakes in that match. But first, the Young Bucks continued their journey down the road to heeldom tonight, defeating Penta El Zero Miedo and Commander via nefarious means and earning jeers from their hometown fans. The match featured a ton of nonstop action, drawing the tired "This is awesome" chant, despite there being little in the way of an in-match narrative and a total lack of selling. Despite its shortcomings, the match accomplished what it intended to, with the Bucks firmly establishing themselves as villains by way of a pair of low blows, a mocking Judas effect, and the BTE trigger to Commander for the win. Heel Bucks are the best Bucks, and given how things were trending with audiences anyway, was probably a wise creative move. What it means for Full Gear and their match with Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega is the question that will hover over the match Saturday night. 3.5 stars, 3.25, 3.5 is my rating for this. So with that, MF, we move on.
All right. With that said, we do indeed move on. Another squash fight, as it was the Guns winning their match in 23 seconds. Really nothing more to say there. Then this one was wild. It was like a Dragon Street fight. You had Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Paul White, and Kota Ibushi versus Brian Cage, Powerhouse Hobbs, Kaneshi Takeshita, and Kyle Fletcher, winners of the bout in roughly 21 minutes even. It was Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Paul White, and Kota Ibushi. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
20-something minutes there?
21 minutes.
21. Ooh, oh, okay. All right. Fight of the night for me. A wild, chaotic match ensued with bodies battered and bloodied, leading to a finish that saw Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho duct tape Powerhouse Hobbs to the ropes before the former delivered one-winged angel to Brian Cage for the win. It may not be everybody's thing per se, but that should not discount the efforts of the competitors and the fans who ate it all up. The match was what it was, delivered what was promised, but did beg the question, what's next for the Don Callis family? This was another big loss in the same week that Chris Jericho defeated Konosuke Takeshita in the DDT Pro Ring. what credibility does the thrown together faction have at this point? There is, I do have one quick, small after-match observation. One really quick one, because this is one that I really wanted to get off my chest. Those Paul White, Big Show, whatever you want to call them, those Big Show chops to the chest will never not be devastating. And Powerhouse Hobbs recovered nicely by literally body slamming Paul White on the top of a car in the parking lot. Powerhouse Hobbs is a freak. I'm telling you right now. He's not only jacked, but he picked up Big Show with the greatest of ease. He picked up Paul White like he was a child.
Yeah, he did.
And MF, those chops, man. Those Big Show, Paul White chops. He still got it, man. He still got it. You hear the impact of those. MF and I always used to let out our big old whoa at the same time. And I would say, did you hear that? And MF, you know the rest.
Yes.
Did you feel that? Is what MF would say. My God. And yep, he still got it. No question. So for me, I would say 4.25 stars. Fight of the night for me. So MF, this is your style of match. So I'm sure you got some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This was a great match. 4.25, like you said. Solid main event, no doubt about it. Great battle, great fight. Now it does lead us into, after, with everything going on. So yeah, solid main event. Some main event fight. Then there was a promo thing with MJF. A whole bunch of chaos that ensued after that. We don't really need to go into that. Overall, 8 out of 10. Good little last things for Full Gear. It's going to be a great show, no doubt about it. You guys can get it via BleacherReport.com, or you can get it on traditional pay-per-view. That's going down this Saturday night. This Saturday, guys. So a very rare Saturday pay-per-view for AEW. So nothing more to say, Anthony. 8 out of 10. Final thoughts, and then we'll get into the Thursday night football game quickly, and then we'll get into Full Gear.
All right, very good. But let's not forget, AEW has one more bit of business. We're gonna have ourselves a Friday night war on Friday night. Not only do we have SmackDown, but we also have a special Friday night edition of AEW Collision.
Yes.
Because of the pay-per-view being the next night. So, and then they're also going to do a rare live Rampage. Actually, not so rare, because it's the second week in a row they're doing a live Rampage. So, and then that countdown special. So that's all I can say on that. As far as this is concerned, I'll say this. I think MF might have overrated it a little bit. I'm leaning more towards 7.5. As a go-home show for Full Gear, this was not a particularly great effort. Less than half of that pay-per-view was represented. Nothing was really advanced, and the in-ring work bordered between meh and mostly good, but little more. Taking each match or segment individually, they were mostly good, but as a show, this should have been designed to convince fans to purchase AEW Full Gear this Saturday night on BR, pay-per-view, or what have you. This show did not hit quite as much as the company should have hoped for. 7.5. And MF, we move on to what will be kicking off week number 11 of the NFL season tomorrow night on Amazon Prime Video. A game that for us came in as our number 3 game of the week. I'm sure you saw the order I sent you. So
I'm actually going to call it now the number 2 game of the week, because of, in light of the news of what happened with the other situation.
So,
yes.
Despite the records?
Despite the records.
Even though Pittsburgh and Cleveland have the better records?
Because of the loss of Deshaun Watson, I thought it does take away from the game a little bit.
Okay, so...
And it does not And to me, I just made an executive decision just now. So that's why you're hearing this for the first time.
Okay,
So no,
Cincinnati and Baltimore is now 2, and Pittsburgh and Cleveland's now 3.
yes.
Everything else stays as is, right?
Everything else stays as is. Yes.
Okay.
So, so just to let you fine folks know that, yes, I am the one that just called the audible. It's not Anthony. Did not know about this, so I kind of sprung that on him, just now. So, but due to light, and we will get into it on Friday night, why I made that indemnity, and I think if you have not heard the news, you'll know it on Friday why it happened. But yes, this is the second. This is the our roundtable, as we like to call it, the number 2 game of the week. The Pittsburgh. It is gonna be the Cincinnati Bengals going to M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, to take on the Baltimore Ravens. This is Amazon Prime. You know who does this. Al Michaels, Herbie, Curb Street, and Kaylee Hartung. This is the game of the season. This is, I believe, for me, and I know, Anthony, I think we can say, this is the most highly anticipated Thursday night game for Amazon Prime this season. Up to this point, this is the game. There hasn't been one that's even been better than this one right now on paper. So, of course, Cincinnati, tough luck loss over the Houston Texans, and the Baltimore Ravens blowing a 14-point lead with 4.5 minutes left, losing to said Cleveland Browns to set up this big divisional must-win game. All right. So, with that said, normally when we do these games, we talk about the over-unders, we talk about everything else. I will say this. Going into this, they have the Ravens as a slight favorite. Cincinnati, the Baltimore Ravens are right now currently 3.5 points ahead. To me, honestly, that's high. 3.5 is even high, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a dog fight. This will be a great battle. This could end up being a defensive battle, to say the very least. I think this is going to be one of those type of games where I think both teams are going to look good. I think Joe Burrow is definitely going to come back, rebound after a bad performance. Lamar Jackson should bounce back as well, and have a better performance than he did last week. This will be a game. Like I said, down to the wire, exciting battle. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to win it 24-23. That's my final score. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
All right. Yeah. Of course, before anything else, yes, MF, I too have the 3.5 point spread on my end as well. Now, of course, as we all know, not everybody has Prime Video. So this is only for the people of Cincinnati and Baltimore. You can watch the game on your respective ABC affiliates. So for Cincinnati, that is WCPO ABC Channel 9 in Cincinnati. And for Baltimore, you can watch the game on your ABC affiliate, WMAR ABC Channel 2 in Baltimore. So there's the story there. It's already the second meeting of the season because these two teams met back in week number 2, and the Baltimore Ravens won that game by a score of 27-24 in Cincinnati. So Baltimore extends their series lead in the regular season. It's now 29-26 in favor of Baltimore. This game's in Cincinnati, so the Bengals have actually won the last 2 years at home. Actually 3 in a row, because that also includes the playoff game from last year, the wild card game. But the regular season game, Cincinnati won last year 27-16. They also won 41-21 the year before in 2021. Baltimore last won in Cincinnati in 2020, a 38-3 beatdown of the Bengals in Cincinnati. So that's the story there. So with that, let's get into my thoughts on this. So the game of the midweek, there is absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever. And I went the wrong way on that one. I apologize. Okay. So okay. All right, now I got what I needed. Okay. Little it's a little slow on my end. The Cincinnati Bengals, gut-wrenching loss for them. I mean, going down to the Houston Texans, and I know we're going to be showing them a lot of love on Friday night, no doubt about that. But the Baltimore Ravens, man, oh my goodness, what in the world happened there? I mean, goodness, oh my. Blowing a big lead like that against the Cleveland Browns, I mean, unreal. But someone's got to give here. Cincinnati takes on Baltimore on Thursday Night Football. The fact the Ravens are in first place is not a huge surprise. The fact the Bengals are in last place in a division where all 4 teams have winning records is a shocker, though. And, of course, it leads to the other big game in the AFC North, which we'll talk about on Friday. All the pressure is on the Bengals here, or is it? Baltimore won the first meeting while Joe Burrow was still working back from a calf injury. Baltimore has 2 home losses this season, and this short week makes this a true toss-up game between division rivals. It's worth knowing Lamar Jackson is 7-1 straight up against the Bengals as a starter. Will Burrow reverse that trend? If Cincinnati wants to stay in the AFC North hunt, then he better. This is a very tough one to call, and that really is. I mean, this one literally can go either way. I don't know. I really don't. Bengals made some critical mistakes against Houston and also had sudden trouble versus the run. Their defense should rebound here, as the Ravens offense tends to be inconsistent with the idea. Joe Burrow games of late. Cincinnati has played Baltimore well during the Burrow era. And I mean, you know what? I mean, those, going back and forth, really, really tough here. But in this case, MF, I believe you said you had Baltimore winning this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I mean, this game did lose a little luster when both lost last week. Bengals looked bad on defense while the Ravens blew a fourth quarter lead and losing to the Browns. Careful thinking, games in Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson will get back on track against the Bengal defense that was shredded last week. I think the Ravens will ultimately take it 29-24. I'm going to take a chance and go with the Baltimore Ravens to win this. but I would not at all be surprised, MF, if the Cincinnati Bengals were to steal one in Baltimore tomorrow night. But going to take a chance on the Ravens, 29-24. It should be a great one. So with that, MF, AEW Full Gear, let's dive on in.
All right, we're gonna start out with so there is a pre-show fight. It's supposed to be MJF and a mystery partner versus the Guns for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. It is a pre-show. We're not gonna cover that. Tony Storm, timeless Tony Storm, goes up against Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's title. And I believe this is Tony's moment. I believe they're going to give Tony the win here. And to me, the winner and new AEW Women's Champion, the timeless Tony Storm. Anthony, is yours.
Yeah. It's looking like that. I mean, with I'm going to be honest with you. I know there's a lot of people out there that's loving, Tony Storm's new character. It's not really doing anything for me, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not really feeling it, But as we always say, you can't please everybody. But at the same time, I do believe this is going to be a great, great matchup here. It's probably going to be Tony Storm here. I mean, I absolutely wouldn't be surprised if she does indeed walk away with that AEW Women's Championship once again. I mean, would not at all surprise me, to say the very least. And I believe it's going to be a fantastic match, and it's a strong match to say the very least. And Tony's timeless gimmick is pure, in the eyes of those, pure hilarious fire. Shida is and has been a great champion, but it's time to complete Tony's transformation into the larger-than-life burnout starlet by making her the champion once again. This should be a very good and highly entertaining bout. Winner and new AEW, or should I say, once again, AEW Women's World Champion. It'll be Tony Storm. MF, set me up for the next match.
It's going to be a 6-man tag team fight. Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne going up against Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland with Ric Flair in their corner. Florio.
This should be a hell of a fun trios bout, and it'll be Adam Copeland's first AEW pay-per-view bout, as well as his first match against Christian in I don't know how many years. It's clear the babyfaces are winning, as Adam Copeland isn't losing this soon after being signed, but it's going to be entertaining. Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting win the match. MF, your thoughts?
I agree. I think that's exactly how I was going to predict it. I think that's how I believe it will go. So next up, we got it's Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley for the International Championship. I think Moxley gets the belt back. I think what happened was a freak accident. I think it was just kind of they needed it to do something because Mox got hurt. I don't think Moxley was supposed to lose the belt initially. I think he'll get the belt back. So for me, winner and new international champion, Jon Moxley. Florio, is yours.
These two had an epic main event at All Out, and this should be just as great. I feel like if Mox hadn't gotten concussed at Grand Slam, he would have held the international title till now and had this rematch anyway. But with Orange going over. Seems like that was the original plan. And if so, I would book Orange to retain here. Then you can always do a rubber match where Mox gets his intended title run. So they could be setting up for a trilogy here. So I'm going to take a chance and say Orange Cassidy successfully defends the international championship. But if Moxley were to win the title here, I wouldn't be surprised. So I think it's going to be another fantastic match. So that, MF, set me up for the next match.
Texas Death Match. Ooh. It's going to be Adam Hangman Page going up against Swerve Strickland. Florio, is yours.
These two had a classic at Wrestle Dream, and this should be even better and certainly more violent. Both guys are great. This feud has real heat to it, and Swerve is absolutely a future AEW World Heavyweight Champion. But I think Hangman evens things up with a win here. They'll need a rubber match either in December or early 2024, where Strickland ultimately goes over. But for this match here, 9 times out of 10 in matches like these, the babyface usually wins. So I'm going to go with Hangman Adam Page to even the score. So MF, right up your alley. You know how these fights work.
Oh yeah. And I'm total agreement with you. I think Hangman should get this win, even it up, and yeah. So we'll definitely indeed move on to the next bout. The Golden Jet, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho versus the Young Bucks, and this is the stipulation that Anthony was alluding to. If the Golden Jets wins the match, they will take the Young Bucks AEW Tag Team title opportunity. However, if the Bucks win, then the Golden Jets must disband as a team. I don't see them breaking them up just yet. And I do believe that this is going to be a start of a rivalry between the Bucks and these two men. Unless the Don Callis faction gets involved and try to screw over Omega and Jericho, I actually think the Golden Jets win the match, and more importantly, they take the AEW Tag Team title opportunities away from the Bucks. That would probably solidify the full heel turn for the Bucks more than anything else. So, Anthony, that's my feeling. It's yours.
So you got Omega and Jericho winning?
Yes.
Okay. Got sidetracked for a moment. That's why. Matt and Nick in their hometown against a tag team that includes Kenny Omega. Yeah, in the immortal words of MF, shut up and take my money. But I wonder if the Bucks get cheered here despite basically being the heels in this conflict. Anyways, this should be stunning, full of breathtaking action and very much story-driven. Oh, and the winners get a tag team title shot. I have to think the Golden Jets eke out a win here and maybe even win the tag title so there can be a rematch with the Bucks down the road. I agree. Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, the Golden Jets, win this match. So, MF, set me up for the next match.
You're going to like this because this is right up your alley, Anthony. Three-way dance for the AEW TBS title, the champion, Chris Statlander, and the two challengers, Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Florio, it's yours.
Oh, yeah. Of course, we all remember tonight on Dynamite, we saw Sky Blue and Red Velvet in a match to determine who got added to the match. It was Sky Blue winning. I would have preferred a Chris versus Julia singles rematch, but this should be fun as well. The third woman in the match is likely to get pinned, and I think Julia Hart is finally going to get her moment here. And she will probably be the one doing the pinning. If it's Sky Blue, she might even turn on Chris Statlander and lay down willingly, revealing her allegiance to the House of Black. So, and let's not forget, I believe it was at Wrestle Dream that Statlander and Julia Hart battled for the AEW TBS Championship, and we all thought Julia Hart was going over, but they gave it to Chris Statlander, and it turned out there actually was a reason behind that because Julia Hart took some time off to get married to Shotty Lee Johnson. So that's done now. She's a married woman now. She's back and ready to go. So I think they're going to right the wrong from Wrestle Dream. So Stat, you had a great run. I mean, you'll forever be the 2 in 60-2 when it comes to Jade Cargill. But at the end of the day, I think her time is up. Winner and the new AEW TBS champion, Julia Hart. MF, they right the wrong from Wrestle Dream, even though it was for a good reason.
I agree. I think Julia Hart, because remember, we both picked Julia the first time around.
Yes,
thinking that she was going to win the title. And I think this time around, like you said, I think we're a lot more confident this time around that we're going to get the moment. So, yeah, I agree. Julia wins the title here. Next up we have is the Fatal 4-Way for the AEW World Tag Team titles. The champions, Big Bill and Ricky Starks, put it up against Rush and Dralisco, FTR and Malachi Black and Brody King. Man, I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like maybe the champions remain the champions, but the thing is, I could actually see House of Black win it all. I could see FTR win it all. The only team I don't see winning this is going to be Russian Realistico. I just don't see it. But I'm going to go with the tag team champions remaining the tag team champions. Big Bill and Ricky Starks winning. But if there's new champions, I wouldn't be stunned here. This is the hardest one to pick out of all the matches. So, Florio, what's yours?
Maybe hard for you, but not for me, MF. This should be a wild one. A lot of stuff going on with these teams, and it seems like they're building to a Ricky Starks, Big Bill, House of Black versus FTR, LFI 10-man tag, maybe on the Thanksgiving Eve Dynamite next week. I really don't see Ricky Starks and Big Bill losing the titles just yet. But then who do you pin here? FTR have already lost to them. LFI and House of Black, you want to keep strong. I suppose if they retain, it would be via cheating and nefarious means anyway. So winners and still AEW World Tag Team Champions, Ricky Starks and Big Bill. MF, next match, please.
There's only one left.
Oh, yeah.
The main event.
All right.
The AEW World Title on the line. The champion, MJF, goes up against Jay White. Anthony Florio, you lead off.
This will be I believe this is going to be a classic 80s NWA style main event. And I mean that in the best possible way. You have MJF playing the 1989 Ric Flair. Charismatic, sympathetic, but not above cheating. And Jay White playing a cross between heel Flair and 1989 Terry Funk. A consummate pro who's mechanically as good as anyone in the business, but with a violent killer instinct. I think this one goes a good half hour since both guys' styles are conducive to longer bouts. MJF is obviously retaining as he has Samoa Joe and his former protege Wardlow both waiting in the wings for their shot. But the big question is, will we find out who's under the devil mask? Numerous Easter eggs have been oddly pointing to CM Punk. And if they've actually worked something out with him after all the debacles, then well done, I guess. But I don't think it's him. I have a feeling the original plan was Adam Cole, but since he's out for a while longer, I'm going to surprise you, and I'm going to take a chance and say that I think it might be the former Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. He was a red-hot heel when he got suspended. The Punk hints would fit right in, and he could subtly reference Punk as part of the angle, which would draw massive heat. And MJF versus Perry is always an excellent match. I could be wrong, but that's my prediction for the Mystery Man. CM Punk would be the bigger short-term business move, but we'd be right back to everyone walking on eggshells backstage. And I know AEW doesn't want that ever again. Jungle Boy Jack Perry would be a better long-term choice. But for right now, and considering the fact that Jay White, has been, parading around with the title all this time, I think MJF is due to get it back with a successful title defense, and he'll cement one full calendar year as AEW World Heavyweight Champion. You remember this very event 1 year ago, he won the AEW World Heavyweight Championship from Jon Moxley with the help of William Regal. So he's been champion since, and I think he's going to stay a little bit longer. So he's this close to a year. I say give him the year. Winner and still AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He gets the belt back. Do we get the devil unmasking situation? I don't know. But if we do, I could see it possibly being Jungle Boy Jack Perry. I could see it possibly being Samoa Joe. I could possibly see it being Wardlow. I don't know. It's not Adam Cole because he got jacked up. So not much more to say. MJF retains. MF take it home.
I agree. I think MJF retains. I basically gave you all my thoughts about it prior. That if for some reason that they give the belt to Jay White, what would happen? But nah, I think MJF wins this. So yeah, really nothing more to add. So we're done. We're out of here. So tomorrow night, College Football Thursday. We got some big matchups. a major twist in the college football playoff as well. We got new number one. Who is it? Who got that distinct honor? We'll find out. Friday, NFL Friday, hosted by Anthony Florio. Now, we got a decision to make as it pertains to Saturday. As you know, AEW has moved Collision up, but it also, because of the fact that Friday they moved it up, we also are running a situation. AEW is running Full Gear on Saturday. I might be forced to move this show to Sunday so that we incorporate everything in one shot, which is SmackDown, Collision, and then the results for Full Gear. We actually might even have to start earlier because of this as well. We'll keep you posted on that. But one thing that is for sure, Monday Night Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio, that will not change. So, with that said, thank you, Anthony Florio. Thank you guys as always. I'm gonna try to rest my voice the best I can. Like the video, leave a comment, share with all your friends on all the social media platforms around the world. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you all tomorrow night.
Goodbye.